Double knuckle.
Let's rock and roll.
Yeah, you're welcome.
So, yeah, that's good enough. So, planning board meeting, the first thing that we were hoping to do was to have a continuation of the Nature's Wilderness public hearing. My understanding is that they have modified the plan, taking into consideration some of the feedback that they received at the prior public hearing. And so I'm hopeful that this new generation of the plan will be the last, and we can move forward beyond the public hearing part. So, and then after that, just so you guys know what's to come, because everybody likes the full story. We've got a couple things on the agenda. We've got a barking dog ordinance that we're supposed to discuss. We have some subdivisions that may or may not be discussed if anybody's here. Is anybody here for the Sand Pond subdivision stuff? All right, maybe we won't talk about that. And then there was, where's the line? I got it. That's it. Okay. So we will talk about the dog ordinance. It is not a planning board public hearing of an ordinance. It's just a discussion that the selectmen wanted us to have. So with that, I will turn it over to Nature's Wilderness for a
brief presentation. First of all, last time we were here for information meeting, said I would bring in updated information that you can slide right into your pre-ring binders if you still have them.
No, if we ever resolve this, I don't know how I'm going to start my fire next year.
You have them too. We also have, when we can ask you down, this is the updated, that goes in the front of the traffic section, one page. And this is the road agreement that you asked Gary to have folks sign.
Oh, yeah, to see a butter for.
Yes, understand, yes.
Okay.
Okay, so, public, thank you for coming. I'm not sure when you were here 2 weeks ago, but basically we listened to all the comments in the public hearing, and obviously the big concern was traffic volume and the nature of the traffic. So what we've done, a few things. First and foremost is the original plan had 300 sites. Our revised plan has 172. Okay, so that's, we've lost 28 sites right off the top. So that cuts the traffic almost in half. If you remember the traffic numbers, which I'm skeptical of, but if the traffic numbers were 165 trips per peak hour on a Saturday at the most, this is now down to 95. And what we have done is, I suppose, just to kind of back up, beforehand we had this road extended up to Deacon Road and came down and right through and came back down to Marston's Road. These roads kind of connected up to Deacon Road where it was. Now we have no development on Deacon Road whatsoever. And we have the roads that connected to Deacon Road, formerly will just go into cul-de-sacs and be little dead-end pockets. So we now have three 15-site little dead-end streets for, private campsites.
So how many sites total again?
172. Okay. We have also broken out the site and the development in construction phases. So let's just. So what we have here, the green is really encompassing the existing impervious area. So we have Upper Twain Road coming up here, the existing road, and camper roads, and the loop that's there right now. So this contains 60 sites. And in the planning board, in your packet, you'll see there's a breakdown on the second page of really what's included in each phase. And so phase 1 is 60 sites, which are 19 RV sites, which are right adjacent to the road, and then 41 cabin/tent/small RV sites. So something that would just be a passenger car type thing. So the large sites will have a large RV coming in and hooking up, which were mostly your concern on the street as far as passability. So one thing that you'll notice here, so from the 300, all of the 128 were large RV sites that are now gone. So the nature of the traffic has changed a little bit as well. So a large portion of the traffic from here, a large percentage, will be small passenger cars, either people coming to tent sites or coming to a cabin, or pulling a small RV. So those are pickup trucks and passenger cars. So phase 1 has 60 sites. It also includes upgrades to the stormwater pond down here to make it pass muster for DEP. Also including the fire pond connection, the dry hydrant. It'll include the swimming pool, and improvements of Marston Road from the intersection of Senator Black Road up to the site where the road is meeting current town standards. One thing that Gary did bring in tonight is he's gone and spoken to the abutters along Marston's Road, and they're understanding and supportive of that section being brought up to town standards. Perhaps Gary can speak to that.
And also spoke with Brian Anderson, the road commissioner, and we talked about a plan to go through based off Jeff's engineered plan on the road, and then talk to the selectmen. We're gonna get bonded and insured, just like we did before, carry out the project.
And so that road improvement plan is included in your plans that I gave you tonight. One thing that also is within phase 1 is one of the comments that someone brought up in a public hearing was really the lack of proper signage on Senator Black Road. So we're proposing an assortment of signs. One, obviously, on either end of Senator Black Road talks about the directional sign gauge is wilderness, 1.4 miles, 1.1 miles, so that folks will have an idea of where they're going. Then we have right here where there's a barn that's right next to the street. We're putting up a congested area sign just so folks, if they're coming in RVs and the area, that they'll know to slow down and hopefully look for decongestion. And then there are a couple of hills. There's a 13% grade next 500 feet, and then an 8% grade next 1,500 feet, bringing us to the entrance. There's a couple of, these don't look that severe as far as the turn here, but driving it, it was worthy of a sign. Another congested area over here, a couple of, turn arrow signs, and that, so we drove with the traffic engineer and myself, we drove back and forth a few times, trying to make sure that really, imagining we were in a heavy vehicle, large vehicle, what would be appropriate, and I think this level of signage is appropriate, and really a lot have been there to begin with, but, it will be after phase 1. Phase 2 is shown here in red, which will include the tent sites, whatever cabin sites they put on the upper road above phase 1 here, as well as coming up and doing their primary loop through the expansion area. Phase 3 will be the dead end loops off of this loop.
Can I just ask a clarifying question?
Yep.
It says in here that phase 2 includes 67 total sites, but it's 67 additional sites, right?
Yes. So phase 1 is 60 sites, phase 2 is 67, and phase 3 is 45. And I would say, really, there's not necessarily, once we get beyond phase 1, there's no magic to what is done next. We just wanted to kind of break it up, because one thing that we have agreed to in here is that after each phase, we will do a traffic count to see really how much traffic are we generating based upon the sites that we have. So we have a good number. So certainly, once we're done phase 2, we want to make sure that we wouldn't somehow trigger a traffic movement permit during phase 3 if our numbers are somehow more than what we expect. I think we'll find the opposite, but we'll find out either way. So after phase 1 and after phase 2, we'll have good traffic numbers that we can share with the town and kind of prove that the numbers that we have, before you are accurate and hopefully conservative. Okay, so that's so what we've done obviously is we've cut it almost in half. We have provided signage for Senator Black Road, and we provided a mechanism for staging the construction in a way that we can check the traffic numbers to make sure that something hasn't gone awry. And so, with that, we've tried to, obviously, I think the applicants have made a significant effort to understand and listen to what you have to say and try to solve the problem of traffic, as best and as reasonably could be expected. So beyond that, the rest of the project remains the same. We have, 172 sites, still the primary loop through. All these new roads will be wide enough to pass two lanes of traffic. There are several pullouts still every 500 feet along the way. Several bathhouses located, I think it's within 500 feet of every single site. There's a series of wells located throughout. They all are 300 feet away from the nearest septic system. And then phase 2 will also have the clubhouse area right here. So phase one is really pretty much what's there now, just something to get them going. The phase 1 is below the need for any outside permitting from DEP or DOT or there's very little new impervious area. Everything new right here that hasn't been constructed would need to go through and get DEP permitting and would take the additional 7 months of permitting time. But they have brought it down to a level, as the board asked, of a very small first phase, really using the existing road infrastructure, and so they are hoping that at some point in the near future, phase 1 can be approved and they can open up and kind of start proving that they're going to be the good neighbor that they're saying that they're hoping to be. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions that the public or the board might have.
Pablo?
I really thank you for cutting it down here.
We've been trying to say we're trying to be good neighbors and we're listening to what everybody said and we all gotta live together.
Yeah, it's true. I guess, I don't really have any questions.
In the mid-range there.
The signage, I think that's a great idea.
Thank you.
Down on the corner of my land there, putting up a sign 1.5 miles. I think it's great. The congestion sign, I think the barn you're referring to actually belongs to my wife. I wouldn't worry about it. Save your money. That's my reaction. The only thing that I might get concerned about, there have been times when people have driven up my driveway thinking it was Senator Black Road. Because, you're coming up the hill and there are people who can't see, over their hood, and they turn right. And a few years ago we had somebody in a semi up there, and trying to get a semi back down out of my house is like, oh my God, poor guy from Sri Lanka driving a truck, and he's like this big, and it was horrible. But this kind of thing happens, and if it does happen with the campground, I wondered if I can come back to you and ask for some sort of another sign there at the corner of the property.
Yeah, signs are an easy thing to take care of and be a courteous neighbor. And that's where the 1.5 miles comes in.
Great idea.
We've dealt with this whole common sense thing. We're gonna try to instill that in people.
No, that's a great idea. And the congested area sign, I'd save your money, really.
we wanna put enough signs, we wanna put too many signs that it's overburdening and changes the layout of the area. We do have to have some,
We wanted to hit the parts where folks, you know, would have question about. So if the folks here don't believe we need all these signs, that's fine, we can certainly back them off. But we wanted to at least address all the potential issues going up and down each way. So, you know, if some of them aren't necessary, then certainly we could strike them from the plan. But we wanted to put them there as a first, you know.
Going up that hill slows people down.
Mhm.
There's that, the barn, Maggie Black's barn, I think,
Oh,
is
Maggie
probably
Black's
what they're,
barn,
I don't
yeah.
know what they're doing over there with the truck stuff, though. That would be the only
well,
thing,
that's
to come
the
around the corner.
congested area that
Yeah,
we're talking
that's
about.
the-
It's
what
basically
he's
from
talking
Joe's
about.
driveway
Yeah.
all around the corner until you meet the grade going up the hill.
Yeah,
That would be the congested area.
I wouldn't really worry about it. I think, you know, in terms of me, it's rather large and green and will stop you dead if you hit it.
That's a very stout building.
No, I meant my tractor.
Oh.
Other, questions or comments?
Well, I would like some kind of either slow down or congestion sign between my house and my barn, because maybe the congestion might be 11 chickens in the road, but,
We'll take Joe's sign, because I'm gonna.
okay, that sounds,
Sorry, Joe.
I think
No,
I'm
that's
the only
fine.
person on the road with a barn across the street from the house, and we use both of them all the
Yep.
time, so that would be huge relief for my chickens. And the white pony that can't seem to
Keep it
keep her act together.
Was that agreeable to everybody?
Why does the chicken cross the road?
There's no magic to any of it, really, yeah.
Because there's always food on my side of the road and they know it.
Any other questions? Nothing stupid,
So,
nothing smart.
one other thing, and this, I'm passing this along from others. I hear there's still racing and loud motor noises coming. I don't hear it, to be honest with you. But I hear it from other people. And they're not, like, right next to you even. They're, like, a mile away. You say, oh my God, what is that going on? Is this gonna continue?
No, it's gonna be a campground.
Okay, I mean, like, so in the winter, it won't be going on?
In the winter, we used to have snowmobile races, four-wheel races,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
car races. I cut it all out except the cars. I do have a couple cars that go up there with me in the weekend with my friends.
Yeah.
And we play on the pond. Snowmobiles are very loud, four-wheels are very loud.
Yeah.
All the cars are regular cars with exhaust.
Okay.
I've cut it down to minimal,
Yeah,
within my rights, trying to be, like I said, I'm trying.
Yeah.
I'm doing the right thing in my
As I say, I don't know about it from personal
Right.
experience.
I haven't been voiced any complaints to me or any close neighbors. Matt lives on the road.
I do.
Be honest, is it loud?
No, so I live my name's Matt, I live on Marston's Road, I'm the first house on the right, and, it's always been respectful, it starts around 10, maybe even later. Hasn't bothered me at all, and,
Doesn't bother
you know,
me
it's,
either.
you can hear it, but I'm right there,
Yeah.
too, you know, and to me, it's just like, man, I'd rather listen to that than be right on 113 and listen to the trucks go by all day, you know. But I do have a couple comments while I'm talking. So I bought the house about a year and a half ago, and when I was actually sitting down at the closing table, I asked the couple that I was buying the house from, I said, what's going on down the street there? And he told me it was supposed to be a campground. And for me, that was actually a sigh of relief, because in my experience, I'm a builder, accessible land turns to houses, you know, especially when there's a road that leads right to it, you know. And so I would rather see a campground than however many houses you could stuff in, what, I don't know, 1,000+ acres, you know. So, and also, you know, part of what has made me want to settle down in Maine is it's vacation land. I used to go camp all through Maine and New Hampshire with my dad when I was young, and now I want it, for me it's live-in land now. But so I would, and I really like the phase idea with the traffic study, because obviously it's a concern, right? There's gonna be a lot more people going by the house, but every single time I've ever driven past Steep Falls, not once have I gotten slowed down for acres of wildlife down there. And I've never seen like a line of cars trying to pull out. My mom actually has a campground in Saco listed right now, actually Biddeford. Same thing. It's probably a 200 site place. I've never, ever once been slowed down going through. And so I think the traffic study might be a little heavy. And I like the idea of doing a study with every phase, because that's really going to give us the proof in the pudding, right? Is letting them open. I would like to see this plan move forward. So that's
It's the same concern that the other people on the road said. They wanna see it grow in phases, so everybody can get used to it, see what it's really gonna do.
right. Yeah, because how do you know when really? I mean, traffic studies. I mean, to me that the even the 95 trips sounds high to me. I just can't imagine it.
I want a chance to prove that traffic study wrong.
I-
Cause it doesn't make sense to me, even on the 172 sites, 90 plus cars leaving an hour. It doesn't seem right to me, so that's why,
At least we'll get a chance to find out.
yeah.
Well, I guess I've got one comment about the noise, and it also ties into the dog ordinance, and when it was, I do appreciate, I've heard it when you've been there, but I can go in my house and close the door and not even worry too much about loud music, so I can drown you out, but when it was really awful these last couple of years, and I called Dwight, and I talked to Norm when he was the chair here, and the response I got every single time was, there's no noise ordinance, there's nothing I can do. My horses were so scared they freaked out, they busted their stalls, they were running around the pasture. We're talking about barking dogs. Well, the dogs bark when people go by. There was all the traffic going by my house from all of your friends that were driving pretty fast by my house. And, and the dogs were barking. And is that a nuisance, or is the fact that there's noise on your pond a nuisance? And this is, you really toned it down a lot, and I almost came down on Sunday to see what it was all about, Gary. So this isn't being a criticism per se about you. It's like, if Baldwin is going to become aware of noises being a hassle, then maybe we should really talk about a noise ordinance and what that means across the board. Barking dogs, loud cars, no mufflers on snowmobiles. What would that entail, other than being a real pain in the neck for everybody? But is that where we're at? I have dogs. When they bark, I feel safe. They keep the coyotes away, so when my 11 chickens die when they're old and not before. That's part of farming. To me, noise is a huge problem if it's okay for loud noises and motors and not okay for my dogs to bark to protect us or our chickens. So I guess
You're asking a philosophical question that I can't answer.
Well, why not take it? You're smart.
I have limited brain power.
Especially, I know you've been busy all day.
I think, I think the noise is just, I think now we've reduced the outstanding issues or concerns. I mean, there's a whole bunch of them still, but manageable concerns. But the only one that's kind of this unknown is the production of noise from the usage, and phasing it this way, I think, will give us the ability to see what sort of noise is generated. And phasing it also gives the town some leverage to effectuate change if they're not good neighbors. And so it gives us, some sort of stick to, for the public to come in and say, it's so noisy, I fill in the blank, whatever that is. And if it's an unreasonable burden on the neighbors, again, what that is, I mean, I'm not exactly sure we can quantify it, but then we have the ability to say, well, we need to work on that particular issue before we talk about phase 2 or 3.
So, I have some continuing moderate level concerns about noise. My wife and I don't hear it in the house, but when we walk outside onto the back porch, 2 recent weekends, we heard the whine of racing, cars, and it's kind of like God decided to become a dentist and is kind of drilling somebody's tooth, because it's that constant high-pitched whine. You know, we can go back in the house in the winter and we don't hear it, so it's not a big deal, but if that was during, better weather, you know, we'd be pretty concerned, because it's not like a semi or a water or a logging truck going down 113 where you hear a whoosh and it's gone. It's that constant until the racing stops. And I know it wasn't a commercial race, that it's just, you know, you and your friends out there, and this is cars with spikes on the tires and stuff, but where I'm at down at the end of Deacon Road, all the way down the 2-track right by Sanborn Pond, you know, we can hear it. So I have a kind of a residual concern about, is this kind of group of friends getting together and racing something that's going to continue on weekends and then, you know, wind up being something that happens more at the campground, whether it's a group of friends or a group of people who come to the campground and bring their stuff. So I you know, I have to voice that concern.
And that's what I've been saying, when it's a campground, it's gonna be a campground. Right now, it's private property, we're using it. When it's a campground, you can't have people racing through with cars, it just doesn't make any sense. And I've said that numerous times, and I've changed numerous things to try to be compliant.
Yeah.
When it's a campground, it's gonna be a campground. What we put in the book, that's what we're gonna do. It's not gonna be a racetrack.
I'm gonna suggest that we take a look at that, again, when we start reviewing this for the first session and, or the first segment of this, and, just make sure that we have enough conditions in there to, protect the neighbors, within hearing distance. You know, just get very clearly in writing what you're saying.
Right, but you have to understand that they have proposed the trail system, which is on the edge of the property. So there will be an increase in noise. It won't be that noise necessarily, but it'll be ATV or dirt bike noise.
I know from away, but I've been in Baldwin long enough, and I hear a lot of snowmobiles and 4-wheelers because, you know, people have come to my house and asked permission to cross my property lines, on the end of Deacon Road and on the end of Town Farm Road to access those, 2 tracks and stuff. So there's a difference between a regular snowmobile and a regular 4-wheeler going by and going out a distance versus the high-pitched whine of something going around in circles.
I just wanted to make sure we were on the same page, that's all.
Yeah. And can I just ask, page 6 of what you handed us tonight, there's just a bullet point that says live music and nothing else? Is that?
Well, campground activity, you usually have on the weekend, you have gatherings.
Yeah.
You know, no.
I just wasn't sure if it was meant to be there, because there was nothing after it, and every other bullet point had like a descriptor. That one just says live music, I don't know what you were thinking of, but if we're talking about noise.
campground activities, they sometimes have loud music, not loud music, live music. It wouldn't be every weekend, but campgrounds do it. We gotta have entertainment for people to keep them on our property. That's what we're looking to do, is provide a place for everybody.
So when we talk about conditions, we can talk about amplification and not amplification.
Time to
Yeah, exactly.
So, nice, thanks.
Right, it's business, it's common sense, we do the right thing.
Right, it's our jobs to help you understand what we think is the right thing, and you can find a happy place. Any other questions? Selectmen, you have any questions about this new plan?
Oh, Bonnie is, sounding better all the time.
Yeah, I mean, look, there's no question, this is a far more progressed plan than we've seen so far. No plans to sell any of the 400 and, the big parcel is 476, is that
Yep.
what it is now?
Nope, that's staying all campground.
469, okay.
One of the issues that we were wrestling with when I was here before, although I missed a couple meetings, was, whether we were going to consider the CUP before the DOT and DEP approvals were achieved. And what is it that, you said that those aren't needed
So,
now?
a couple of things now, yeah. So for, as far as, let's go DOT first. So DOT, traffic movement permit would have been required if we were over 100 peak hour trips, which we were when we had 300 total sites. So we have dropped below that. So there's no DOT permitting required. And the DEP, will come into play when we have more than 1 acre of new impervious area, which along the existing roads going through, we don't. But once we head out and upgrade these roads here and anything up there, then we're beyond that. So this first phase right here is beneath even that. That said, once we get a feel that this is something that is realistic in your eyes, we are still going to permit the entire thing through DEP right away, so that the permit will encompass phase 1 through 3, the whole thing. However, it's not required, it doesn't kick in, there wouldn't kick in until we went over their permitting threshold.
So exactly what approvals or licenses or permits do you need to start doing business besides the CUP from the town?
I believe they need a campground license from the
We
state.
need a campground license from the state, we have to have a fire marshal inspection on the Eaton area.
And they need a drinking water.
Public drinking water every 6 months on every well. And I believe that's it.
Yeah, and that drinking water one, it involves actually drilling the well and testing it and the whole deal.
What's involved in getting a campground permit from the state?
Money, probably.
Yeah, I haven't looked into it yet, because one of the stipulations is we gotta have permission to go to the town. So,
I think they wanted, yeah, that process usually happens once there's some type of approval from the town that this is okay from the town, and then, they would attach that as part of their application for it. But they're required to have the safety regulations, fire protection, and make sure that we've met state drinking water standards, the whole thing that we're doing here. The state, always wants a crack at making sure that all that is in order as well.
Teresa, you and Mark, when you were here, on 1/8 with the document, I mean, you had a lot of concerns and issues and things like that. Have they all been resolved, or do you still have things that you wanna talk about?
Well, I can speak for myself, I won't speak for Mark. I think to some degree there's always gonna be concerns, because it's still a hypothetical. And the worry, you kind of go to all the bad things that could happen. I'm very pleased to see the phasing, and the reduction in overall size. I'm still a little worried about the safety on Senator Black Road, even if there's less traffic, which definitely helps. You know, little kids and people walking their animals down the road, it feels like it's potentially gonna have a different feel, but maybe we work with that through signage instead of congested and slow down, or, you know, I think we have to kind of wait and see. I think some of the concerns I had before were whether all the due diligence had been done and the interplay between this board at state level and the other permitting. But I can appreciate what you're saying is under certain thresholds, certain requirements at the first phase at least aren't required. So if the resolution is that DOT permit is now not required at this stage, then I don't have a concern whether you've given enough information to generate the necessary approval. I appreciate the question. I see a good faith attempt to work with us, and I see in the new model changes based on what I've heard people say in this room now 3 different times. And I appreciate that.
Thank you.
And I think it's a leap of faith. You know, these are the landowners. They have I wouldn't want somebody telling me I can't walk my dog on my land or something that I'm required to do. And I think it's important that the board take time and look at the rules and regs, the book of what the campground will do and the hours and what the light pollution might be and what the live music hours might be. And I think we have to trust that you will do your due diligence through that process. I think we're getting somewhere, and I'm pleased to see the changes that are here, and I think from here we have to kind of take that leap of faith that you'll continue to work with everyone. I heard Gary saying that he will, and if you'll continue to listen, I think, you know, we kind of have to, you know, continue to work together. I see a collaborative outcome here, and I appreciate that.
Thank you, I appreciate your comment.
Sure. I speak for myself, not for my husband.
Could I ask why the board didn't ask Lee J to be here tonight?
I did. He had a personal engagement that he couldn't get out of. And since they're recorded, and it's mostly the updated material, we didn't have a choice, frankly. It happened fairly soon.
Yep. So will the board normally, after a public hearing has gone into deliberation on a project, will the board deliberate before they can get a reaction from Lee J?
Highly doubtful.
Thank you.
One of 4 voices.
An idea, Gary, having stayed at a number of campgrounds, you know, when you make your reservation by phone or you make it by email, generally there's an exchange of information and you get a confirmed email back from the campground, and in just about every case there is a list of things that you have to comply with. And that would be a good opportunity to make it very clear to people that they're driving their camper or RV or whatever into a rural area with kids and animals and horses and things like that, and that it's going to be very important for them to you know, be careful and obey the speed limits and, you know, things like that. So it's just one more thing that Nature's Wilderness could do to help minimize potential problems.
That's been on the website, been updated and ready to post. That is actually in there. I've held him back from posting anything new on the website, changing anything.
Oh, good.
pending approval. So, and there are stipulations in there saying, cause GPS, if you're coming from this way, it'll send you up Brown Road. You can't go through that way. So that's on the website, that's on the, when you reserve a reservation, that'll pop up, rules and everything will be right there.
Is there any way to contact Google and to get, the Nature's Wilderness location? Because, I mean, just us at 26 Deacon Road, you put that to Google and it takes you down Brown Road to the intersection of the back of Deacon Road at Marston's Road. And we've had trucks and delivery people and guests and things back there in the campground trying to get to our house.
And the short answer is yes, but it's a process.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've looked into it, it is a process.
Yeah.
It's something that we really want to do.
Takes a year.
I don't know if we're gonna be able to, so that's a possible another sign at the end of Brown Road saying, keep trucking.
Yeah.
Don't turn here.
Yeah.
Yeah, lights on it like the Poland Spring.
No.
They wanna
You wanna be less invasive than that.
Get it all updated in there.
No, we'd all yell at you for blinking lights.
Yeah, no, not gonna happen.
Yes, sir.
Yes, I just wanna make sure everybody else had their chance to speak, so I'm Ben Thompson, for anybody that doesn't know. I represent Cumberland County Regional Assessing, and we work with the board to do their assessing. So this is a great opportunity to present to you folks some of my needs, I guess, as far as communication from planning. Been working with Wes as far as communication from codes. So I do have a question. That this obviously is I've been talking with Joe a little bit too. This would be an application that's already been accepted by the planning board. Received, okay. And it sounds like the second or third anyway, update to it? Sixth update to it. Okay, so at some point, so again, this goes to the conversation, when do I want something? You're at a point right now with what you're presenting, which I'd love to be involved with receiving information. I mean, as far as the approvals and stuff, that's yours. But you're getting to the point now where I have some questions, and it would be good to have some communication back and forth. Because I don't know where your timeline is, and not asking for that as far as approval. Thank you. But yeah, I can't just whip this out from behind my back and have an assessment done and ready, in a certain time periods I have to meet for those things to happen and things like that. So the more communication I can have down in my office, and maybe a chance to ask some questions, whether through Wes to you folks or not, or some way that we could do that, that would be good. One of my questions, I guess, right now is, would it be possible, I'm not sure what you just handed me.
Like a complete submission, so you have everything.
Okay, all right, so this, what's in here is in
Yep.
those packages right there?
Yep.
Okay, great. Does this have the color phases? The map for the color phases?
Yeah.
Oh, perfect, okay.
But if you prefer a PDF submission, you don't have to take all that paper with you.
That would be perfect too.
Yeah, that's right. We're,
Yeah.
so, so we tend to scan everything in. And,
Sometimes this works too, so if,
yeah. So, but just as a general proposition, we tend to scan everything in. And oftentimes it depends on what it is, but sometimes we attach it to the minutes. And a submission like this would probably be posted on the Town of Baldwin webpage. But we can, if I know you want the information, we can send you a copy of it. We can put you on the email that sends the minutes to the town after they're approved. And so you would see kind of what's going on. And then if you had follow-up questions, you can always ask me.
that'd be great, yeah.
And I've got the best scanner, so.
Me too, it's true.
Yeah, that'd be
Say
great.
your name again for my slow fingers.
Ben Thompson,
Ben Thompson, and what's your office?
the Director of Cumberland County Regional Assessing. Assessor Advisor for the board.
Was that your question?
Yes and no. Let me get off topic. Where was I going with that? So I do have copies of that. What do you guys require, I guess, for a number of submissions? There's 5 members on the board seated, I believe. Does code office also get a copy at the time? No, not normally, because I know we handed them
Depends
one.
on the size.
Yeah, okay.
Sometimes sometimes we just get one copy and it's handwritten.
Yeah, the PDF copies would work, I guess, because we got a plotter down there, so I can print out. If I wanted to look at something, sketch on it, draw on it, do what we got, I could do that, I suppose. I'm just thinking, and this may not be the perfect time to nail out exactly our communications and everything like that, but I just figured I want everybody else to have their chance to talk, but this would be good. So one other question I had, I guess, that as I'm listening tonight, so this is presented now in 3 different phases. Will there be planning board approval for each phase? Will they have to come back for each phase?
Well, so the way I had sketched it out, was that, we would approve the first, we would review the entirety and then make each phase contingent on returning to the planning board for additional approval. But the entirety would be reviewed, so the applicant couldn't change phase 2, but would only come back for the contingency. Otherwise, if we just approve phase 1, they can come back with a different phase 2,
Right.
and it can, and that can cause other problems that we don't foresee. So theoretically, I think we were going to, I was going to ask the board to review the entirety of it, approve the first phase, and then make the second and third phase contingent on certain conditions, which I don't know what those would be, but they would, compliance with the existing conditions, not having excessive neighbor complaints that were reasonable.
Right. Just asking because
So that's kind of what we were thinking.
I want to get on the same page, and every town I'm working with is different, so I want to get on the same page you guys are on. Because again, as far as assessing side of it, your value is the number of sites you have been approved for. And so at what point are you released to do those sites? I don't want to,
Each phase they would only be authorized to build the phase that they were approved for.
And so that's different than me, so if I get an email or minutes that show phase 2 was approved, now I'm going to go after that, whatever you got for that next year, instead of me running up there going, all right, Gary, what have you done now? So that will give me a better rein on what's going on. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
Hope it works. And you can always email me. I'll send you an email. I've got your email address.
Perfect.
Any other questions? Wes, you have any questions?
I'm fine.
Okay. I don't see in here a diagram of what you need to do to the road. Is that in here?
Yes, it's on. Last 2 pages here. It will be the Parsons Road improvements.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, but when you look at it, you tell me if you think
So we're proposing the intersection improvements, so there'll be a 20-foot radius up there.
So essentially, as you exit, you're gonna make the more rounded, so you have a bigger radius.
Bigger radius, that a large vehicle can pull in there without, any issue. This is a fairly steep drop off there, so there'll be a guardrail 3 feet off of the edge, and then a river wrap slope down, and the pipe underneath that will be extended fully to up and beyond that.
Okay. And then are you widening this?
Yep, this is going to be here's the road section right here. It's a full section showing the 3-rod right of way, 18 feet wide plus 3-foot shoulder. So, we've got a 24-foot wide gravel edge to edge. Yeah, I mean, really, when you have a gravel road, the shoulders are the driving surface, really. So it's not like there's a section that's paved, 18 feet paved, 3 feet shoulder. The whole thing is gravel. So
What is it now?
16,
16, one spot, bottlenecks right in.
Yeah.
Yeah. Some of it's near 18, but I would say generally 16. So it's going to be, it's going to be about 8 feet wider. And we'll have the, ditches on other side. We're going to put culverts or improve the culvert that's there now. So everything is it's not going to block any particular flow. Everything is working its way through. So you can see the grades, how it matches into existing grade right here.
What about that rock?
that rock is gonna have, I think that is right here.
Yeah.
That's gonna have to be removed in some form or fashion. The road cannot swing over, because it's to the right, to the left side of that, it just, one way or another, that's gonna have to be removed out of there.
Okay. Can I be there? That sounds like fun.
It might be a one.
You're the guy that
signal
noise
that's
this.
happening. Yeah.
That may disturb the neighbors for.
Yeah.
Let us know, okay?
Yeah, no, let me notification, that will have to go.
Interesting, okay. When we were at the last meeting, you guys said you had to send out notification to the abutter.
Unfortunately, with the time I got back, those had to be 10 days prior to the
Okay.
meeting, and so it ended up not, I didn't have time to,
Okay.
so we'll be having.
What was that for?
That's for the DEP application permit, you're required to have a public meeting, of sorts where people are allowed to come and look at plans, ask questions. So any neighbors will be getting, at some point in the near future, we'll be sending out, there'll be an ad in the local paper, and then all direct abutters will be getting, as well as the town, will be getting, a certified mail, notice that there'll be a meeting, and so we'll probably have it,
Can we
wherever.
piggyback on a planning board meeting? I'd kind of prefer everything to be in front of us if possible.
You could, these are usually pretty informal, but we can do that, it's fine. Now, I would have liked to have had it today, and then everyone's, but timelines being as they are.
Okay.
I'm just confused, so I thought you didn't need a DEP permit for what?
Well, no, we do need one for so we're still permitting the whole thing.
Oh, I understand.
Yeah, it's
So
just,
phase
the
one.
piece that we boiled it down to for phase one is smaller than required, so it was just that, we wouldn't need it, but
Got it.
it's better practice to permit the whole thing now.
It takes so long to get through the process.
No, I got it.
Why wait to phase two, get it going right now?
Regulations change
Work right
and,
But you could open phase one without.
correct.
We could, but.
No, just.
Yeah.
All right, so what I foresee, if you guys.
No,
What I foresee is getting this information in electronic form, getting it up on the town website, getting it to Lee J. Feldman, setting a date to have contemplation by the board, where we'll talk about conditions, get to the actual facts of the, conditions. And, I'd like to piggyback that discussion with so then you notify the abutters, so
So they all know that, yeah.
they all know,
Fine.
we all know we're talking, so we'll suspend the planning board meeting for the first 10 minutes to have your presentation.
Okay.
'Cause that'll get more people here, which I think is helpful, honestly. But maybe like the next meeting, schedule this to be considered.
There was one thing that popped into my mind from when I was here the last time, and that was that there were some boundary issues between Nature's Wilderness and abutters that were unresolved. Do those still exist? Have they been resolved? How many are there?
What are you talking about?
There's boundary issues between Nature's Wilderness and one or more of your abutters.
It doesn't have anything to do with the campground property.
No, not on this parcel. So I think across the street, I think there's a, I don't wanna speak to that, but there,
Well, they're both it's the whole mother. It's the whole-
yeah,
it's
maybe
the whole
Gary
thing
can
in
explain
green
that
down
if he
there,
wants to, but, yeah.
why are you interested in that, I guess?
Well, I mean, there was a lot of talk, and maybe it was all resolved while I was gone for a couple meetings, but there was a lot of concern about the overall footprint and boundary and what the boundaries were, and, I mean, I know Joe has recused himself because of an ongoing boundary issue, and that was just one of the things, in my mind about whether, those issues still existed, whether it was still a concern. Is the boundary issue with Joe the only one that Nature's Wilderness has, or are there others?
Yeah, just to be clear, Joe hasn't actually stated that's why he recused himself, he just chose to recuse himself personal reasons, he hasn't actually stated that that was the reason why he's chosen to recuse himself, just to be clear.
Okay.
But
And I agree, the land dispute has nothing to do with property lines on our end. It's a possible trespass onto ours, in our opinion, in the survey. So that is neither here nor there, not, in my opinion, shouldn't be spoken about at this meeting. It doesn't pertain to this.
I don't even know where it is. Does it affect, any of the,
No, it doesn't.
campgrounds,
No.
there?
Yeah, it's far down past Deacon Road on the right-hand side, way out back.
So it wouldn't change any of the sites or?
Whichever way it goes, either way, it had nothing to do with this, and I prefer not to speak about it at this meeting, honestly.
yeah, we could decide if it's relevant to us. I mean, the only thing I could see it's relevant if it impacted where the development lot area, which it doesn't, based on what they just said. I don't know anything about it, but, or B, once we get to conditions, if one of the conditions is to mark the edge of your property line, they have to figure out where to mark it, but that's not really on us. Right, that's the dispute with whoever it is.
Right. Thank you.
They have to do something, but I'm not sure we have to tell them where to put the sign.
Right.
If that's,
We had our land survey, it says it's here.
that's right.
There's evidence saying otherwise, but our survey says here, so that it shouldn't hinder this.
Yeah,
I was gonna say, when we were talking about marking the boundary.
Yeah, I mean, that's
trail,
really
that's
the only
place
place
it
that
becomes
becomes
relevant.
unless it's in the development area, which is not.
Okay, that was
Yeah.
kind of what I wanted to, just to see where some things are at.
Okay, so does that sound like a plan though? Cause I really don't wanna discuss this without having Lee J look through this
Absolutely.
and get his thoughts.
David, I've got one more small concern, and it was mentioned earlier this evening about the rest of the resort or land that Scott owns is going to turn into a trail system for four-wheelers and snowmobiles.
There is a plan design for trails around the undeveloped portion, around the developed portion of the lot, yes.
And that plan, you can look at it, it's gonna be on the website soon, but that doesn't encompass the the outer sense of their property. I think we had a limited area that was based around the campground itself, that we limited the trails to.
There's a large buffer, no exiting trails, all loop
All
system.
around, but again,
So exhibit 15 of the plan has
okay,
red trails marked off where they plan to have ATV and motorbike, trail system.
okay, I would be concerned about noise, I really would be at that point, if it's all going to be part of the campground. I'm trying really hard to be good about sending.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's one of the big issues,
If Norm can sit here and complain about radio interference going by a battery for a solar unit, then I think noise has to be a concern of people here in the town.
yeah, no, that's great.
And these people that are riding on the trails have to adhere to state law, because even if you're riding on property in the state of Maine, you have to have exhaust, you have to be registered. They can't just come up here with racing quads and go out through it, they have to follow state law.
Okay,
Unless you're domiciled.
It's a noise issue, Gary, with
Yep.
me. I moved to my home because it was so quiet and so peaceful, and to me that's Maine. And I know it's different for you, and that's okay. We do have to work together.
I enjoy the quietness too, and that's why I've scaled everything down. And we keep talking about the noise. I don't want to name any names, but there's a lady at the last meeting that was very negative against the campground. She was actually up there last Sunday, had her kids playing on the playground, watching the ice races, enjoying it. I went over and talked to her, she loved it. But then she comes to the meeting and talks negatively. So I just want you, when you do vote and consider it, really think about it, please.
Yeah, well, maybe you add some education to her, so.
I wanna point out too, with the noise thing, there's been some noise this winter that has not come from the campground that I think people that live on the road may be attributing to the campground that's not. I know there's been four-wheelers on other property that I've been hearing more of than anything from the campground, so.
There's been no four-wheelers up there, no.
Yeah, I've
No
been hearing a lot of
snowmobiles.
snowmobiles that have, I
Right.
know that are not on your property.
Thank you.
That have been pretty noisy,
Yeah,
so
they're
I
going
think,
up and down our road.
yeah, I think there's some of that too that maybe
Yeah,
playing in some of it.
It is Maine,
Yeah.
everybody has, most people have snowmobiles and four-wheelers.
and some of us have chickens. No, I know,
No, I-
and I have to say, I really appreciate the fact that the noise level has gone way down, and yes, I can hear it if I'm outside, but the horses aren't kicking the barn down anymore, and it is a question of getting along, but noise is an issue, it really is.
I think I've proved myself, I'm trying.
I know you are.
Yeah,
One of the things you just said, Gary, about the exhaust and the sort of systems on the four-wheelers and the bikes. Well, and I think it was the first hearing we talked about was who would police the vacationers that are coming to visit the campground. Who would police that if they did bring ATV or they did bring a motorbike, is the campground policing whether they have the right muffler or not, or you'll just say, oh, that sounds louder than it should, or,
Unfortunately, all we can do is say that.
okay,
We have no legal enforcement over any
Okay.
state law.
yeah,
But if they are creating noise and the neighbor calls in,
you
the
can
warden can come
respond.
up there
Okay,
and they'll take care of it.
okay.
well, you can always tell them they're not
No,
welcome.
it's in our rule book, yes.
Yeah, you can always say, you're not welcome to drive that,
Exactly, but I can't, but
but you
You
can't
can't
go,
obscure the property or,
the sheriff or the
Okay.
warden will have the ability to write tickets, not us.
and I
right,
think that's part of the, kind of the leap of faith question is, I mean, I think I said this before, I absolutely love our place and our road and our town, and part of what I love about it is the peaceful quiet and the beautiful sunrise, and I can hear the chickens sometimes, or the rooster, and I think it's unsettling to think that all of a sudden, something can happen, but I think again, it may affect the town and the town resources if a lot is going on that shouldn't, and if we're gonna rely on the sort of rules and regulation book, I think if that doesn't have any teeth of any kind, I think you'll want people to comply. Because it doesn't work.
Exactly.
but that's why the phased development is
Yeah.
actually beneficial, is because if it's clear they're not able to operate a campground consistent with the rules, then they'll have a 60-site facility and that's it. And potentially the town will try to do other things, but, as you said earlier, if somebody owns property, they get to do
Yeah.
stuff to it. And, our job is to make sure that the rules are followed and the use does not unreasonably interfere with the neighbors. But it doesn't mean it can't interfere with the neighbors, it just can't be unreasonable.
We all have
And
the same rights.
and that's
We
where,
enjoy it, we can enjoy it.
that's where you try to find that line, so, there will be ATVs out there. Will it be too noisy? Well, that's a question we're gonna have to find out. All right.
Certainly with the phase development, it's in Nature's Wilderness' best interest to make sure that the noise complaints are kept to a minimum and that
A
there be
60-site campground
good
will not
neighbors.
sustain, but we need to grow. We need to prove ourselves, we need to do the right thing to grow. We need 172 sites.
Yeah.
To make this work.
All right, so anything else? I mean, does it sound like a plan to schedule the meeting, the first meeting in March?
Do we end the public hearing and then?
Well, let's end the public hearing. All right, so, okay, good call. So what is it, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th?
The 12th.
12th. So, can you get your notices
I can, we'll
out?
send out the notices tomorrow and then they'll appear in, what's the local paper?
Shopping guide.
Shopping guide. Your local shopping guide.
Okay.
I'll send you the number.
Okay,
Weekly.
Weekly shopping guide.
YWSG,
Right.
something.
So, the next meeting, the goal is they can have their meeting, hopefully have Lee J here in person.
Start talking conditions. We could possibly approve it at the next meeting. So, or do some homework.
Would it be in anybody's interest to have and I know people don't like executive sessions, but it seems like it would be nice for us as a board to have kind of a roundtable discussion without.
Can't do it,
Can't do an executive session.
not about that. No.
There you go.
If you wanna talk to the lawyer, we can do it.
Not necessarily, I want to be able to kind of.
No, it's gotta be all public.
Speaking on that,
It's
would
not
you like, would you like to have a meeting with us to sit down and troubleshoot with each other? So when we come to the meeting, we can be like, all right, you gonna throw this at us? And
I mean, I'd love to have a
workshop.
Yeah, workshop, basically, I guess I said executive session, but I just would like to be able to talk frankly with you guys and have them talk to me frankly and kind of come up with our plan. It's difficult.
Gotta do it all in public.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, as long as it's not I mean, it can be a workshop or something like that. But
Every meeting's a workshop.
it's gonna be several hours, I guess, is my point.
Yeah, we may not
But
finish.
with a goal of, that's the problem, is with a goal of finishing. Because we need to move this forward.
Yeah, well, we're farther forward than we.
Further than been in years.
This is-
No, absolutely,
Yeah,
but I
yeah.
guess my point is, I mean, we definitely wanna hear from Lee J. We definitely wanna have their meeting, public hearing's over, and we need to come to a conclusion, basically, within the next two meetings.
I don't disagree, I think it should be within the next 2 meetings, but we all have to do our homework. I mean, we all have to read this.
Yep.
We all have to think about what it means. We all have to think about what conditions we think are appropriate.
I also think if it takes longer than 2 meetings, then it takes longer.
Yeah, but he has a point that we need some urgency here. This is taking up a lot of resources of the town, and I think we're at a better place than we've been ever, so I think the goal is to try to do it in 2 meetings.
I think it's kicking the can down the road, and I don't.
Yeah, we can't do it again, cause we can't have
It seems
another
like-
version, we can't have
That
another.
can disintegrate it.
We can't have another version, so.
No, we can't scale that, like I said, this is what works for us, and we hope works for everybody else as well.
Yeah, well, I mean, whatever, that's great, I can't get another, I mentally can't have another version,
We can't either.
Uh,
Please, it'd be great to move this thing forward.
Right,
I wanna stop coming here.
All right, so.
Like Baldwin, but not you.
So, we'll put you on the agenda for the first item, possibly the only item. For the March 12th. March 12th.
Thursday, March 12th.
You here? You here for sure?
I'm sorry, what did you say?
Are you here for sure?
On the
March
12th?
12th?
Yeah, I don't see why not. I'm not on call again till May, so.
Let me just check, make sure.
My kids don't want to early.
I won't be here.
There's that
Well,
problem,
I can't be here.
I was just wondering.
and I'm gonna try to get you in next. If you will argue with me that you can't talk about it, because Gertel isn't.
I might be able to move that.
We can talk about the land itself.
Why don't we put it
not the
on,
subdivision.
and
Right?
there's a possibility I won't be
I gotta
here.
drive to Augusta, so that's
And I'll let you guys know, and then.
Yeah.
If I can't be here, do you still wanna do it?
No.
I appreciate that. If we can't do it the 12th, then it would be
The 26th.
the
But
26th.
if they have to notice it. We can still.
I'll find out tomorrow.
Okay, yes, we'll delay that, but yeah, so, and if we notice it for the 12th and you can't be here, just let me know as soon as we can notice it again for the next
Yeah.
meeting, but,
Yeah.
I got to get it in.
No, I understand. That's rare to have something like that, but, I think I can move it, a day forward back, so let's try to do the 12th. We don't have to do any public notice on our end. Should we do public notice?
No.
I don't see a need to.
Well,
It's gonna be on the
I was
agenda.
surprised at the paucity of the turnout tonight for the third version, which says to me that, you know, that people's issues have been being, addressed. Because between now and the first meeting, I mean, this room was packed for the first, meeting, so.
I don't think people realize that we're continuing.
Yeah, they were gonna notice it, so we put it on the website, but we didn't
Put it in the shoppers guide.
We put it in the shopping guide.
It was in the shoppers guide.
Yeah, but I don't think,
Some people read it, some people don't.
It's the same people at the last meeting, they knew it was gonna be tonight, and they haven't shown up.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Anyways,
It's
let's
the same
just
faces
keep
every
going,
time.
just keep going. So we'll do it for the 12, Dwight, do you think we should put it in the shopping guide? That's right.
I guess I'm confused, it's their public hearing that they need for a permit, and they're gonna notice.
No, they're gonna notice the DEP permit.
Right. What if
We're
we
gonna consider the condition. Two different things.
I've just never seen us notice considering.
We never have, but this is the biggest thing we've permitted.
I think we should,
Thank you.
if we do put it in the paper, I think we should also write in the ad that it's not a public hearing.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, you're welcome to show up, but we need to discuss this between us, because we've heard a lot of things, and we're definitely respectful of that, but everybody here has got ideas in their head of conditions that we wanna deal with, and we need to talk frankly with each other, rather than having, that's.
Alright, let's not notice it, cause we don't need to,
People can come, I mean, people
If
come to a meeting.
the town wants to do it, you guys can do it.
I think,
It's up to you.
I think if we put it on the sandwich board out front, that planning board, you know, nature's
Consideration of
nature's wilderness on agenda.
Can you do that? Okay.
Can I challenge that for a minute, cause what's the precedent for setting about when it's sun rays, solar, when it's just like, what, we have the rules we follow about what we notice and what we don't, I don't know why we're making.
I just wanna make sure we go,
Then keep reading the minutes, and looking on the website, reading the shopper's guide.
And I'm sure that
but
people,
the board in front, that's not a big deal.
Okay, but like, as the secretary, I'm not gonna put it up there, I'm
No,
saying
no,
I can do
he's
it for
going to.
everything that has to happen.
He's going to.
Okay, but then what about when he doesn't, and someone complains for the next thing?
The more you touch the people, the better off you are. Then you don't have some complaints coming back that you didn't do it the same way every time. You know, usually the standard, the Press Herald is a newspaper out here, but that is not the standard we use to advertise in. We use the Shopper's Guide. So everybody looks at that Shopper's Guide. So for $65 ad, I'd have it in there.
Okay, we as a board aren't gonna do it, but Dwight, maybe you and I will talk, maybe the town wants to put it in. Alright,
We just have to make clear that it's an agenda item, not a public hearing.
right.
The
I just
public hearing
wanna
will
make
be
sure everybody
closed.
knows.
I know, I just think
Public
we could
hearing
do
is
the
closed.
public hearing. I don't
That ought to
think
be
there's
done.
any- Yeah.
Tonight.
I think that's thing, if you do it for us, you can do it for everybody down the road. Just keep
Yeah, I mean, I don't
it.
think we
Now,
have to
do
go
you
into
want
it,
the
I don't really
public
care.
hearing, or you just do that as a, you just did it as a,
Executive action,
potentate?
yeah.
A good discount would have been better.
It's close.
They close at 8:05.
Alright, so we'll talk to you guys next meeting.
Maybe.
Alright. Unless I can't get out of my thing, which I can. Alright, dog ordinance.
Could I speak on behalf of Ben Thompson for a second? Because he's got a long way to drive home. And
You want to do Ben first?
yeah, could we,
Yeah,
what we wanna do is discuss land use, we're not gonna discuss the application for the.
It's on the agenda, we can discuss it.
Oh, okay, because this is what we wanna discuss.
Oh, it is. I'm so glad you're here.
Ben
This
Thompson will
is
tell us
the
what this
Van
is.
Hotel.
Oh, right, this is the subdivision.
Well, let's put it in perspective first. So we have a permit application for a conditional use permit, is this
This is the one we walked.
okay. So we have two six-pack subdivision permits in front of us from an individual named last name Van Hertel Senior. we have a revision of the subdivision that was recently given to us after the pre-application meeting and the site walk. One of the issues that was posed to the applicant, was the origins of the property at issue, because my understanding was it was owned by Van Hertel Jr. And when we asked during the pre-application meeting, the origin, when the land was purchased, we were told it was purchased, I believe, in 2019. We said from whom? We said Van Hertel Jr. And we said, well, under our subdivision ordinance, if you divide a piece of property 3 times, it becomes essentially a subdivision. It's simplifying it a little too much, but, and so we said that we needed to know the origins of what we call the mother lot, which is the largest parcel, that has been intact for 5 years, because every 5 years, things change with regard to the subdivision ordinance. So I told him we needed to know the mother lot, that the 2 subdivision parcels, so they're on opposite sides of a road. So this subdivision parcel and this subdivision parcel, what were the mother lots of those parcels? So we could understand if it's already been divided too many times, because if it has, the subdivision has to include more property if it's been split certain ways. I'm getting a little confusing, but we posed this issue to the developer, and he said, okay, but we haven't received any information. So from that discussion, well, I'm at the edge of my knowledge, but what I think happened is these guys did something to help us understand the origins of those lots.
So from an assessing point of view, we're trying to figure out, catch up to all the sales that are happening so quickly here and make sure that they're assessed properly for April 1st. So there's multiple things going on here, and again, as they're happening so fast. It comes down to how you want to look at it, I guess, and I don't want to put my neck out there quite too far, but there was potentially, my understanding is this, there was a deed written in 58, if I remember correctly, but was not recorded, and this is from my admin, not my hands-on directly, but not recorded until I think it was 92. These lots were, let's look at this as, you can see 4-1 right here, which is actually a large parcel, it's just not shown on here, okay? I don't know if this is the best place to put it. But these lots
You guys can come around if you want.
originally 3 separate lots. Forever and a Day, these were three separate lots. So what we're gonna name 4-1, which was this big large parcel, which included 4-1-1, if you will, okay? That was originally one. From that point here, to, Fremont Road, was parcel number 2, Forever and a Day, and this lot was parcel number 3. They were always separate, they were always listed as separate. But this one deed that we've kind of stumbled across, and I'll gladly put my hands on and review myself and throw it at you if you want. It's kind of like you need to decide where you're going to draw a line in the sand. Potentially, the 1958 deed put these all into one. They drew this all into one, which again, you got roads splitting it, so I don't know that would have necessarily been legally done, right? Okay, so, but it did label them all as one lot and did the outside perimeters. Let me back up with these 2, I guess is what I want to say.
Wait, the deed did these 2, but
These 2, not that one, I'm sorry, I misspoke. And it's been probably a month since I reviewed this, and I'm trying to remember the names. The individual that sold to Junior, at the time, sold them as 3 separate lots. So that, thus, in effect, splitting this lot, which had been combined in 58, recorded in 92. He split. That's fine. That's 5 years. That was just recently, 18, something like that. Yeah, I think that's when, no, because Junior sold this lot to,
No, I would prefer.
Yeah.
To Fuller. So Junior sold that lot to Fuller, I believe it was 18, so it's probably 17, 18, I go back and look at it, have the exact. Okay? Right here, lot split. Okay, so when,
17, so we're still 5 years from 17,
so you're still, yeah.
so.
So when Junior received it, he received 4-1, 194 as a parent parcel, 193 was parent, received them as three separate, like, whatever, been 5 years, that's split for. In the meantime, the sale to Fuller then changed this property line to going on the Grant Lane, Grant Road,
Yeah.
if I remember correctly, thus changing the boundary line. Okay, so the way we're understanding it, 4-1 now is Fuller. This was retained at the time by Junior. Junior retained the sale from during that time from Fuller, which is almost 12 acres, and all this is in tree growth. So this is the reason why we started chasing it. 'Cause I'm trying to figure out who the heck am I chasing down?
He's got the utility on that 411. I bet he's right down the 411. Very good.
And so then the sale went Junior to Senior, March of 19 on this 12-acre parcel, as well as all this. We sold them all.
Was that deed
this and this.
one or deed two?
This was two parcels. Boy, I'm not remembering clearly if they listed it on as two, but there was already two separate parcels anyway. So, you know, you gotta draw a line in the sand wherever you wanna make that split. I'm fuzzy on the 1958 and 92 recording as far as that goes, so potentially, let's even argue, this is where I was kind of looking at, discussing, let's even argue that these were three lots, three separate lots. Where we're ultimately going is, you had one split, that's fine. You had one split at this point, that's fine. You ended up with Senior getting this whole piece from Junior, Senior then selling to Water's Edge, which got this piece. Again, so one lot, one split, that's fine. When Water's Edge then sold to Bukoveckas, that becomes three lots on that one.
So I've got a couple of things. One is, this was sold to a neighbor, so that is not a division. I mean, that's uniting, and it's perfectly legal to sell to a neighbor.
And I'm looking at it as just one split if you were to count these as three lots, so either way. Yeah.
And Bukoveckas is across the street. Now,
That's an abutter, that's gonna be, I'm gonna leave that to you guys where that falls.
to me, that's an abutter.
I mean, we have a certain distance, right? Is it feet from a
it's-
property boundary or something
so-
like that?
No, it's gotta be an abutter.
Right, but doesn't that define a butter, 1,000 feet from?
Abutter
We have a
defines
definition of an abutter,
touching.
but it's also,
We don't, cause it's separated by the road.
Yeah,
yeah,
So,
yeah, they do it that way.
I thought
so-
our ladies were.
I don't know.
No, that's just people.
That's just
they
for
notify.
notices, okay, thank you.
So, I don't think he's in the butter if he's across the street. The street divides property.
Okay, that's fine.
So you may potentially have an issue, we were just kind of saying, okay, this is where we kind of alter our communications back and forth. We get things that are, wait a minute, we got a red flag, and go throw it back to you guys, falls in your court
So this lot was split three times.
3 times, yeah.
So it really doesn't matter unless somebody comes in for a building permit.
Or you can't build on it.
Yeah,
But if you want a subdivision on this, I think it's the whole thing.
you think it's the whole mother lot. Yeah, I think you're right.
Because you've created a subdivision by splitting it three ways. And the only way to do anything on it is to have a subdivision that encompasses the whole.
But Senior didn't do that.
Well, no,
See
not
what,
yet.
David, what's interesting to me there is
No, we didn't make the third split.
you have a mother lot. And, you know, I own a mother lot, I sell part of it
To a non-relative.
to a non-relative, not a butter. And I plan to do something with my mother lot, with what I now own. And the person I sold the piece to now does something illegal and splits it. And that affects me.
Yeah,
Yeah, suck it up.
I mean, I think so.
Yeah.
I think that's the problem with the subdivision. I mean, that's not a problem, it's a I think it's a consequence of the subdivision that that we don't care whether it was done for illicit purpose or not.
Yeah,
We just know it was split 3 ways, and so to build on any of these, you have to come with a subdivision for the mother property.
yeah,
Unless this split was, so if these two were split, if this and this were split off more than 5 years ago, then this person's fine.
Yeah.
They can go do their own subdivision. But you can't create a subdivision and then within that subdivision, wanna create another subdivision of one of the properties of the.
I get it, we're trying to protect overall land use, that makes sense.
yeah.
I mean, one lot split once, cause this was sold to Water's Edge sold here. So
Right.
Water's Edge made that third split.
Right.
Yeah.
But this person took the risk when they sold, I mean, that, and there should have been, so this person, nobody can build on that right now,
Right, nobody can build on any of it
any of it, without getting a subdivision,
without waiting 5 years and then they can.
or getting a subdivision approved.
But there's no problem with this proposal over here, on the east side of the road.
It doesn't look like it.
Because we have a proposal for east.
Okay. So you're saying in this spot, that was sold, Water's Edge?
So it's one division of that parcel.
Yeah. He sold this part off, so this part can't be built on for 5 years.
No, and none of it can be built on,
How about this one?
none of it can be built on, because it's all part of the subdivision. I think. I mean, this has baffled us from day one, like, how,
And I'll throw one other thing while you're thinking, is that all of this is in tree growth. So again, if we can establish those communications, because if you were approved, you might wanna use that for the town's advantage, because that tree growth penalty would need to be paid, I would suggest, before you approve a subdivision. And cut up into land lots that someone's selling out, and I'm still chasing to figure out what sales happened in the last 3 months.
so the definition is super simple. The division of a tract or parcel into 3 or more lots, 1, 2, 3, within any 5-year period.
So it's the whole middle lot.
So it's this tract divided 3 ways.
Yep.
That's a subdivision.
So nothing on those 3 lots.
One person did not divide it in 3 ways.
That doesn't say one person has to do it.
The whole purpose is the whole purpose.
Water's Edge shouldn't have been able to sell that property to.
Well, no, they can sell it, but you just can't build on it for 5 years unless you do a subdivision.
If the person who owns the mother lot chunks off 2 or 3 or 4 or 5, but it all goes to relatives, it doesn't count as a subdivision, but they are held to that 5-year rule. But if he chunks it off and it doesn't go to a relative, then that person has the opportunity to chunk it off once, but this person has a chance. As long as it changes ownership, as long as it changes.
No, that's the whole purpose of subdivision is to stop that garbage. That's the whole purpose of subdivision.
The 5-year rule is applicable to relatives getting a 5 year.
No, it has nothing to do with relatives. I mean, it's this simple, Wes. The division of a tract or parcel of land into 3 or more, 1, 2, 3, lots within a 5-year period. Hard stuff.
Does something need to be communicated to the people that are trying to develop this into a subdivision then at this time?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
I mean, and if any of those 3 people come in for a building permit, you have to say no. You have to go to the planning board and get a subdivision approved. That's the way I read it. I mean,
Okay.
The way.
y'all can dissuade me, but. And over here, it's interesting. It's so complex, I'm not sure if we really can figure out what's.
Well, that's all divided as people want. That's all.
Yeah, I mean, that's what it sounds like, right?
And has this been sold to the person's wife? Oh, no.
would
town
see,
owns
right?
it is going to subdivide it. So,
Right,
that
right,
is
right.
owned by a relative, he's done nothing to it, and he wants to subdivide it, so he's not going to until he gets the approval for.
Right, but the problem he has is this parcel, that he can't create this parcel without access. Cause you can't, I'm not sure how you're gonna access that parcel.
What you're looking for is, when we talked before about not accessing off 107,
Well,
you can.
that's the question, so if he tries to do a subdivision on this may be part of the subdivision. If he's dividing the land again within the 5-year period, this could be part of the subdivision. If it's part of the subdivision, you can't access off of a route.
Say route? No. Okay.
This is what I pictured when I joined the planning.
Right.
So if he divides this land one more time within 5 years, he's created a subdivision of the mother lot, which means that this cannot be accessed by Route 107. So he has to create a driveway coming in one way or the other. So a subdivision here does impact this property if he does it within the next 5 years. If he waits for after 5 years, he could deal with this by himself, and that's not part of the subdivision.
See, all right, now, I'm sorry, I was asleep over here, I was looking for my, subdivision ordinance. I couldn't find it, but, this is a road. Now, Ben is saying,
That's Sam Pond Road?
that's San Pond Road.
Oh, I didn't see that.
So these are two separate
Yeah, you're right,
lots in
I
my
didn't
book.
see it Sam Pond Road. But you said they're one lot.
Just the way, you know, I'm
They
saying.
were when Junior got it, it was listed as one lot with these delivery lines. Whether that was a public road, private
Number
road,
on the
that's.
tax map.
I apologize, I did not see the Sam Pond Road, I apologize.
The number on the tax map is one lot, yes.
So Ben isn't allowing me to call any of my land that's across the street from itself one lot. He's making me divide that up. So I'm thinking,
Yeah, no,
this
you're right,
may have
you're right.
been on the tax map as one lot, but it's two lots.
Right.
And the road definition, my experience is very complicated, so it depends on whether public, private, right of way,
That's a public,
easement,
that's a
all
public
that,
road,
so
yeah.
yeah, I gotta look at all that.
When it's a public road, then it's,
Just, we're on
That's
camera,
simple. All right.
public's listening.
We're good on that then,
Yeah.
I'm good on that, I'm
Yeah.
sorry, I apologize.
So, anyway, so as far as assessing purposes, where we're caught up to at this point, that's chasing everybody for tree growth app. This is my proposed lot splits that we're gonna label them. Just to let you know, I gotta assess what it is, what you guys do is on your side, as part of the board, but
Okay.
that's a copy that you guys can keep for a little bit, so.
That's super helpful. This is the one we have to worry about, not that.
Right.
That's the one I was more worried about because of this, that, and that.
but this is one lot.
That's
Because
that,
it's
yeah.
sold in a butter, and that's one lot, and that's one lot.
Okay.
And that up there is poison.
That's all right. This is good, okay.
That's how we're gonna get a scan of this for everybody.
Alright,
I actually have that scanned already down at our office, if you want, I can email it to you.
Does it have all the cool drawing and everything in it? Have you sent it there?
yeah, you want to send it?
Whoever gets it, send it to,
I try to send you guys everything. Well, I'm not sure. I try to send you a lot of stuff. Alright, so that's very helpful. We'll talk to the guy when he comes in and see what he has to say.
I think this is only gonna get more complicated, and I see a survey truck the other day on 113 just up the street in the whistle stop.
I saw the same time you were,
Yeah.
It
It looks
just
like,
last year when I went down that way.
yeah, it looks like they're gonna come onto the 113 side too.
Well,
And
I
I don't
think that
know.
was what they were trying to figure out was,
On Michelle's property, did it go all the way across to 113?
Yep.
Yeah. Maybe they was finding her corners.
And I do have a tree growth app for her, so we're good with what's going on. Everybody else was still chasing.
Alright, super helpful. Barking dog ordinance. Do you guys want to do it or you want to?
Thank you very much, Ben.
Thank you, yeah.
what are we supposed to do with it?
So I reviewed it and did what I do for my job. I correct typos and add words and, I had a couple questions.
Can I make a suggestion?
Yeah.
For the gallery? The problem for the selectmen is that former selectmen got the planning board to write and submit the barking dog ordinance. And so the current selectmen are being delicate. They would like to take the animal control, ordinance out of the land use ordinance where it doesn't belong. And really, I think what they're trying to do is ask us, are our feelings hurt that we will no longer have any jurisdiction over people taking conditional use permits out for their dogs to bark or anything? I mean,
Right, it's not like we can enforce any of it anyway.
I think all they're really asking for is like.
But I reviewed it, I wanna give this to Dwight so he can see it.
Fine, but I don't think we need to spend any more time than that on it.
Yeah, that's the bottom line.
The functional point would be that if the town adopts this ordinance, we don't wanna have a barking dog ordinance in the land use ordinance, because they might conflict. And if we take the barking dog ordinance out of the land use ordinance, the only way we can do that is to have it voted on at a town meeting.
But you can't change the, land use ordinance without having the planning board have a public hearing.
Right, and we have to have a public hearing about the dog barking not being part of the land use ordinance.
Yeah. And then it gets voted on at the.
Gonna end up noticing something no matter what.
Was that an article that you had there?
There's not time for that.
I'll just get started off. You know, we have Standish Animal Control
Right.
Officer do our ACO stuff here.
Right.
There were some problems, and some of the problems we asked the lawyer about, he couldn't enforce them, because the ordinance originally was done, I think, in 2002, and things have changed since 2002. So we sent everything to MMA and had them check it, and they threw holes all through it, and then wanted the town lawyer to look at it. So then David Laurie looked at it, he can't enforce it. So David Laurie is the one, we didn't come up with this, this is written by David Laurie.
I know.
So,
Has it been sent back to MMA for them to look at?
no, they don't want nothing to do with it. Right now, they want the town's lawyer to take care of it. So, so that's the bottom line here.
I don't think we have any problem with you guys doing it, just to withdraw the ordinance from the land use, I think we would have to have a public hearing and you guys can adopt this, but to withdraw an ordinance from the.
If it's the barking dog ordinance, we're gonna have to have a public hearing, and then we're gonna need to have a wake, because Norm is very attached to that barking dog.
He got up and walked out of here, he don't have to stay at the table. Nobody asked him.
He'll have one he'll have a backup plan.
Okay.
Alright, so, I'll give you my suggested changes, you can do with them what you will.
But so we can't remove it from the land use ordinance until the 2021.
Right, but it's only of minor significance.
And that's what we had planned, we've already set up a public hearing for Tuesday night.
Right, you guys can do this, but
Yeah.
we can't do you can't do the.
You can do it at town meeting though, isn't it, under if you had to? Right?
If you want us to, I mean, my recollection is that we have to have a public hearing to change the ordinance.
So
The
we're
planning
gonna have a
board.
special town meeting at some point.
Yeah.
And we'll just put that in. Yeah.
There's no, the work that I've done with this and talking with David, there's no cut and dry bulletproof method here. There's holes in every barking dog ordinance in the state of Maine, you know, and it all depends how far you wanna go with it and stuff like that, so. But we gotta have something to start somewhere, and right now, we got two issues in town. 4 dogs that are malnourished and running loose, and 2 dogs that have barked, and we got, I don't know, 6 or 8 calls from that lady down by the whistle saw.
Really?
So it is a problem we gotta address.
Alright.
I mean, we've had conflicting setbacks before, we probably done the same thing here. Okay.
Anything else for tonight? fun meeting. Move your adjourn.
Second.
Favor? Done. Thank you, David, you did very well.